I'm not sure what all it takes to recover, to pick yourself back up. I just know that it's possible. I know that anybody who wants to be sober can be sober. It's about a choice you make. Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys of the 70s are the best football team. Too Tall and Randy White and Roger Staubach and Drew Pearson and Tony Dorsett. And we were a team. We were a good team. We beat everybody. A lot of fun being a Cowboy in the 70s. America's team. And I was on America's team.
Well, Thomas came with the Cowboys in '75 as part of that called the Dirty Dozen, a great draft. And he was immediately, you could tell he was an exciting player. He was a personable guy. He was very fast, a lot of talent.
Playing with Thomas Henderson with the Cowboys was very interesting, to say the least. He's a delightful guy and added a lot of energy and excitement to the team, and that he was a first-round draft choice and has got a lot of personality and was a super athlete.
It's intercepted by Thomas Henderson. He's running up the sideline, 40, 50, into Ram territory, cutting cross field. He's picked up a blocker. Clear sailing for Thomas Henderson. It looks like a 68-yard interception.
If Thomas Henderson could really take that mind he has today and put it back into that body that he had in 1975, he'd be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Hello. My name is Thomas Henderson. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be back in Dallas, Texas. It's a special day for me. There's a war on drugs in America now. Our presidents are talking about it, our senators. Everybody's talking about the war on drugs. Well, I fought that war, and I lost. You may wonder, say, well, why do you listen to a guy like Thomas Henderson? You know, why do you listen to a guy, or maybe why should I listen to a guy who's been to jail, who's done every drug there is, who's smoked everything and drank everything and acted out the way I've acted out? And I kind of have an answer for that. The reason you listen to me is because I'm alive. I survived. If John Belushi were here tonight, you'd listen to him. If John Matusak was here, or Lynn Bias, or Don Rogers, or Larry Bethea, or David Crudip, if they were here, they'd fill stadiums. You want to hear what happened. I'm not sure why anybody ends up an alcoholic or a drug addict. I think life has to do with feelings, and I want to talk about my childhood. My mother and father drank alcohol abusively. I feel like I was abused. But also I think that my mom and dad did the best they could with the tools they had, because obviously they passed on what they got. I don't know about you, but I would say that I was 12 years old and my mother and my father were fighting one night, and my mother shot my father. Well, that's not normal. I mean, normal households don't have people shooting each other. You know, so growing up, I think that I had a violent tendencies growing up. I grew up not knowing who my father was. I don't want you to feel sorry about that, but I just want you to know I didn't know who my dad was until I was 21 years old. And all of a sudden, I was in the Super Bowl, and this guy said, "Son, that's my boy right there." Yeah, that's my boy. Look at him. Ain't he good? I read early on somewhere on my birth certificate where it said illegitimate colored boy. father unknown. And I don't know about you, but I kind of grew up all my life kind of shame-based. That if you knew that I was illegitimate, which I mean, most people in my neighborhood knew, I was ashamed of that. And growing up in a house with a stepfather, you know, my mother would whip me and not let him whip me. And when she whipped me too hard, too much, too often. And I would take these walks, and I have to tell you that the inner child would always come with me during those walks. And I would say to God, God, why does she beat me? And then the human side of me would say, well, when I grow up, I'm going to kick her butt.
But my childhood wasn't all bad. When I first saw athletics as a child, when I first saw sports as a child, and I saw people applauding for people who were doing a good job, I said, oh, that's where you get acceptance. That's where you get approval. That's when they would like me.
So I went to Langston University, and I went to college for 4 years, and I made All-American in football. Because I found out early on that's where I would get my feedback. That's where I would get my happiness. But I just didn't have the basics. The basics are God and love, friendship, relationships, and loyalty, and honesty. I didn't have any of that. Mine was lying, stealing, cheating, and not letting you see who I really was. That was my whole premise. That was my whole card. Yeah, that hip, slick, and cool. And at the strangest times in my life, I always looked back and said, well, you know, your daddy ran off when you were a baby, and you know that you like lived in a real nasty house, and you know that you smell like urine because the kids used to say, boy, you smell like pee, and so you know about that, and don't you, Thomas? And I would go, yeah, I know, but nobody else knows. In 1975, I was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and when I moved to Dallas, Texas, I said, hi, my name is Thomas Henderson of the Dallas Cowboys.
In 1975, the Dallas Cowboys went to the Super Bowl. And I was a rookie, and the America was 200 years old. This is the biggest deal in the world. And the man's got a 200-year-old coin in his hand. Yeah, he says, yeah, well, maybe George Washington had this coin, you know? And I said, boy, look at there, man. And so he's sitting there messing around with the coin, and here we gonna flip and call heads or tail. And what am I thinking in my little old ghetto head? I wanna steal the coin. You know, out of all the things that are going on here, this is a Super Bowl. I want that coin.